Welcome everybody to our marketing during COVID-19 session roundtable that we're going to have talking about trends, opportunities, and I am Bernard May. I'm the CEO of National Positions. With me today is Ed Valdez. He's the director of our paid media department, and Matt Erickson, who's the director of marketing. So good to be here with them presenting. We have got quite a packed agenda today, and I just wanted to point out before I proceed that at the bottom of your screen you'll see an area on Zoom that says Q&A. Please add any questions along the way. We want to provide some time at the end to answer those questions. But I want to just quickly dive in and tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about. Everything we're doing today, we're trying to make it practical, provide resources and other takeaways that you can immediately use after the session. We'll be diving into search engine optimization, looking at some of the trends that are happening there and the shifts in search. We'll then hand over to Ed, who's going to talk about Google advertising, e-commerce, and look at the trends and opportunities that we're seeing under the paid search side of things, as well as YouTube and social media. And then we are going to be handing over to Matt, who will be talking about the psychology and the change in mindset and what this new normal means to all of us. We have a bunch of resources, free resources, helpful resources, and links. Everyone who's attending today will get a copy of this presentation, so no need to take screenshots and you know, write notes on some of these resources that we're providing, because we will be handing that out to everyone who attended. So first I want to just jump into some of my observations and thoughts, and I guess we're going to be doing this as we move around the room with Matt and Ed, but this is a really tough time for everybody, everyone in the United States and around the world. And it's heartbreaking time. It's definitely tough as people are working from home. And there clearly are winners and losers, as in every situation. And we'll be looking at some of the trends as to, you know, where traffic has increased, where conversions have increased. And those are very clear. Many of our clients have been affected by the lockdown, and especially those that have manufacturing facilities where they just, you know, none of the employees can go into work, and no one can ship products and services. So I know that that's going to change as soon as that lockdown is lifted, but it is impacting not only search, but also the fulfillment side of things. I'll be talking a lot about the balancing of short and long-term perspectives, but I know that most of us are just trying to figure out how we're going to get through the next couple of weeks. But there are some long-term changes and perspectives that we can look at when it comes to potential downturn that's going to happen in the economy after we get out of the lockdown period, and what that means to you, and also where you should be spending your marketing dollars. So a lot of people have said to us, you know, what should we do with paid search versus SEO and email marketing and other areas like that? We'll be covering all of that. But certainly to say that I know that our major perspective right now is in the short term, but really it's that long-term perspective, because I think all of us are hoping and praying that we're going to be here for the long term. And what does that mean from a marketing perspective? I can tell you right now that a lot of our clients are looking at what does their website look like and how can they improve their website now that they have maybe a little bit more time to think about that. What are they doing for the email templates, and, you know, maybe areas that they haven't looked at for a long time, as well as just in general, having a look at their advertising overall and seeing where they can change it and what is needed for you know, how to handle COVID and what's happening here with the coronavirus. Our clients are pivoting. So Matt's going to go into messaging, and but as a lot of our clients are entrepreneurs, you know, how can they change their current business model to handle this new normal? I have some clients that are in the fashion industry that are producing masks. We have clients that have brick and mortar that have quickly added e-commerce so that they can sell their products online. So these are kind of important and interesting perspectives. And if, we've been sitting there with a number of our clients trying to plan how they can pivot, how they can take, for instance, nutritional supplement clients who were selling a whole range of products, but now the immunity products are more important than others. So they're pivoting and really focusing on those and building out content around those particular products. Communication is so important right now. So people are sitting at home, they're worried, they're concerned. They're not only worried about getting coronavirus, but they're also concerned about what they're going to do from a financial perspective. So communication is so important. Knowing that, for your clients to know that you're in business, that you're operating or you're not operating, and what they should do about that, what your hours of operations are, just, in general, what they should be expecting from your company. And so with everything, relationships are so critical. We've recommended to everyone, step up those communications. So whether that's in email or through display advertising or on YouTube or through social media, these are all absolutely key areas and critical areas, is that whatever kind of communication you did before, step it up more and more. That's why, for instance, we're doing a webinar today, or why we've stepped up more of the emails that we're sending out to our clients, and also encouraging all our team members to be reaching out to all of you. Omni-channel is performing better. We're finding that our clients that have many different marketing channels are doing better than those that have just one. The reason being that some are performing better than others. And this really is on a industry by industry basis. In some cases, paid search, for instance, doing extremely well. In others, it's not performing as well. SEO, you're going to see in a moment, the rankings are staying the same, but the volume in certain industries is down. Overall, we're seeing mobile conversions are down, which is kind of interesting, and trying to explain that. But I think it's because people at home, they have their desktops up and running. So they're not on the run, they're not traveling. So that explains why mobile conversions are down. Email rates are up like never before. I was looking at one of our clients who usually gets really good results, like 30%. Their open rates are up to 50%. So people are stuck at home. They're actually opening their emails like they haven't in times gone by. So there's a silver lining. And then, of course, with the issues that people are facing, more time on social. So social has become, has actually been a really good channel for a lot of our clients, as more and more people are there and they're looking at their feed and they're interacting with their friends and their family. I'm just going to jump into a couple of search engine optimization suggestions. So we're talking about traffic growth or declines. And what we're seeing is what you would expect. Increases in traffic in areas such as finance, food, healthcare, and the media, and declines in areas that you'd also expect, travel and construction, even advertising, manufacturing, as people are focused more on their immediate needs right now. What is essential to them? Same thing you can see on conversions. So in some cases, we're actually seeing traffic increasing, but the conversions declining. So for instance, someone might be still searching out there for a new home or for real estate or for an apartment, but no one is actually committing right now. In other areas, of course, people are trying to find out for food and health care, how they can get those medicines and how they can get those essential food products delivered. There is a lot of opportunity out there for, as I was saying before, nutritional supplement companies, or even companies that are producing or pivoting into something to do with healthcare, something to help people in this particular, to work through this crisis. So nothing that you wouldn't expect, but interesting nevertheless. So we talked about communication, public statements. We've put together a bunch of templates. We've also helping a lot of our clients with making sure that they have something on their website that talks about coronavirus and how they're handling it, and getting those FAQ pages, talking about putting an FAQ page about how you're handling things during this crisis. What are your hours of operation? How are you helping your clients? So I think that's a lot of what people want to hear right now. One thing to remember is not only Google My Business needs to be changed with the hours of operations if they have changed, but also go to all those other directories that are important for your particular business, whether that's Yelp or Avo if you're an attorney, or some other particular industry directory.
And then on Bernard, really quick, just on that, the Q&A, just know that on the Google My Business, that there's limited functionality right now with some of the updates. So they're prioritizing, medical brands and things like that when it comes to hours. So if you're not seeing updates reflected right away, give it a little bit of time. Just letting you all know.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also just on Google My Business, you may have noticed that even though you're adding reviews, those reviews aren't showing up. And that's just because Google's added a lot of people to Google My Business. A lot of that is handled manually right now. And so you may see a delay in some of those updates. That being said, it's a good idea to get out there and do those Q&As on your Google My Business. Also, make sure that you're posting on Google My Business, because a lot of, especially if you're a local business, and then emailing with those public statements. So are people searching, as you saw before in the previous slides, people are out there searching. They're just searching in a different way right now, and with a kind of a different need. And purchase activity is kind of shifting. We're seeing a lot of interest in regards to the changes that are happening. So for instance, people buying gym equipment for home because they can't go to the gym. And people are watching a lot of, or learning, doing online learning has exploded exponentially, and different.
Oh, don't forget about shirts, tops. Walmart released some data because we're doing, webinars and conference calls. People need shirts. So that's one of the top selling products at Walmart.
Yeah, so pants not so much, but definitely shirts.
Definitely shirts.
And of course, search is pivoting. You saw that in the previous slide. What we need to do is stay the course, especially on SEO. A lot of people say, oh, traffic's down. Yeah, traffic's down, but we're seeing that the search results are the same. So the rankings haven't really changed. It's just that in some industries, we're seeing that volume is down. In other industries, we're seeing that volume's up. One thing that you can do is actually look for those search results that are actually doing well, and pivot into those particular areas. Like we're talking about for nutritional supplements, we're seeing that whole immunity side of the business just, grow like never before for some of our clients, and just looking for those search terms that are doing well. So quickly move through these things, but people are those searches for what do you do from home, things to do at home, how can I buy online? So those, especially for those of you that got brick and mortar businesses, clients want to know, how can I buy that barbecue that I normally used to go into the store, but and by the way, barbecue sales have also increased like crazy. So people are looking at do-it-yourself. They're looking at what they can do at home, especially for their kids, and for cooking and barbecuing and all that kind of thing. And then are you open for business? So we spoke about that already. But how can they contact you during this time?
And if I can, like, this goes back to what Bernard was saying, is like those may seem very basic, but it does show that as people are adjusting, they're having to relearn how can I even operate now? So even something as simple as how can I buy online, or are you open? If you consider your local, is LA Fitness open? Like, people are just trying to find that out. So it's keeping top of mind, but realizing people are thinking a little more basic right now.
Right. So people are asking us, so what should we do from an SEO perspective? Well, we've got a little bit more time to think, and if you do have the capability and the foresight to do these things, I think clients are working on their content right now. They're working on their revamping. We have a bunch of revamping, website revamps going on right now. We have people who didn't have the time to think about conversion optimization, that are building out their split tests. And I know others are scrambling, so I just want to be sensitive to the fact that if you, for instance, your facility is closed and there's just like really nothing that you can be doing right now, that is an area that you could work on as a long-term project. Top and mid funnel. Again, if you have the funding, being out there, branding, being, messaging to the clients at the top and the middle of the funnel, that you're out there, that it's all about how you can help. Being sensitive to the fact that people have, and Matt's going to go into those in a lot more detail, but people are scared and they are emotional, and they want to hear from you and know that you're there for them. And I think this is a great time to build that goodwill. And then we spoke about the FAQs already. We're offering, if you need live chat on your website, please let us know. We'll help you install that and get that up and running for you. But that's if you don't have that, that's obviously a good way to keep in contact with your clients right now. And of course, social chats really important. Making sure that your profiles are updated, as mentioned before, and proactive outreach, getting out there, getting in front of your clients as much as possible. So I'm going to hand over to Ed now, talk a little bit more about Google Ads and pay-per-click display shopping and YouTube. Ed, over to you.
So with the U.S., working from home, shelter in place, we're seeing 78% of people working from home now. There are 32.5 million children in school. So searches have changed considerably, and we can see that people are searching for, in March, they were searching for coronavirus shopping list, shelf-stable food, so on and so forth. So the priorities have shifted, as Bernard said earlier. Consumers are looking for different things as they're at home, whether it's office supplies, which is very popular, gym equipment, so on and so forth. It's really understanding, okay, with people changing their search habits and looking for different things and spending time on the internet in a different manner, how do we pivot? How do we get in front of these consumers to show that we're available to help, that our services we're still open, we can still help, our services are still up, and that's where we want to go. And so Bernard, if you want to go to the next slide. So right now, as we see things, consumers are trying to battle boredom. We're seeing it online, the data's there, as you see from this Google search trends, and it has been increasing. Again, with 32.5 million children at home from school, and college students as well, we're trying to find out, how do we stay occupied? What do we do? So as people are researching things and looking for more information online as how to stay occupied, how to keep the family organized. I have a house and there's 5 people in this house, and it can be really noisy, it can be really quiet, and it's how do we stay occupied? I know that I'm working throughout the day and my daughters are working throughout the day, but in the evening, it can be chaotic, a little bit chaotic. What do we do to stay occupied? So one of the things that we're doing, as we go to the next slide, we're going to Facebook, we're going to YouTube. There's been a 27% increase on Facebook and on YouTube. So people are spending more time on YouTube, looking for videos on things that they can do at home. They're going to be entertained. They're going to figure out new recipes. They're going to find games. They're going to watch shows, their favorite channels, so on and so forth. Facebook, people are communicating, they're sharing information. So I say all this to say, this is where we want to be, right? This is where your ads, your message needs to be. So as we look at a great quote from Wayne Gretzky, I skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it has been. I'm sure you've heard this at one point or another. That's where we are. So if people are spending time on Facebook, they're spending time on YouTube, if you can put your message into any one of these places and stay positive and visible, it's going to help your brand. It's going to help your business. As Bernard was talking, we need to look at top funnel and mid funnel. And I think that's absolutely essential right now because people are spending time on Facebook and YouTube. And if you're there, if your ad's there, if your logo's there, if you're visible and you say, hey, I can help, I have something, or maybe it's not right now, maybe it's 30, 60, 90 days, then at least your brand is going to be top of mind for when people are ready to make those purchases or take on a service, if it's B2B, so that you're top of mind. And that's really what this is about.
And I think, Ed, like what you're kind of alluding to here is that even it's not just people being there, it's just when you're trying to hit, touch people where they live at this time, it's really, the attention is there. There's this almost 30% more attention, on the regular on something like Facebook and 21 on YouTube. So it's just, if that's where the time is, that's your skating towards the puck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. That's exactly where you're going. And that's why it's so important to make sure that if you have a Facebook page, that your business profile is updated. As Bernard was saying earlier, making sure that your hours are updated, or if you're not in service at certain times, making sure that that is widely known so that you can most effectively be visible during those times when you're going to be able to support your clientele or the people in your particular area. All right, Bernard, you want to go to the next one? So what can we do? So with YouTube, there's a lot we can do, because we can do things that are very, very short. So you can do 6-second videos, 14-second videos, 30-second videos. Again, the whole point is you want to be top of mind. You want to say, hey, I can help you. I can serve you. I'm there for you. If you're B2B, then it might just be creating a message that says, we can help. Just a reminder, what your service is, and then target those people that are in your audience. And that can be very, very refined. We're able to target very specific audiences on YouTube, and it can grow your organic and direct traffic as a result. So YouTube is very, very powerful for branding and awareness. In addition, those videos that are on YouTube can also be utilized on Facebook, and we can get really good results, or you can see really good results on Facebook by running ads or videos there, or posting, just making your presence known. Again, operation hours, when are you running, when are you available? Using all the different tools in Facebook. There's a lot of free tools in there. Communicating with your customers, making sure if you have Q&A, you can have conversations, a little bit of the community management work, reaching out to people who are commenting. It's absolutely essential, and it'll build trust as well with your customers. Promoting your services is always a big plus. And making sure that your content is speaking to the people that are working from home, because right now, a lot of people are working from home. And if you can service them or help them in some manner, saying, hey, we can work with you from your home, that's always a big plus, because that's highly relevant, highly timely as well. And again, Facebook has somewhere in the neighborhood of 247 million users in the US and Canada. So being on Facebook is tremendous. So what is Facebook? So that's Instagram, WhatsApp,
Messenger,
Facebook Messenger, and of course Facebook. And the interesting part is, now that we're at home, we're also seeing more traffic on desktop. It was the other way around prior to COVID virus, where we were seeing a lot of traffic mobile. Desktop is actually becoming quite a big distributor of traffic. So
go ahead. So I'm going to hand over to Matt now, just looking about, we're talking about psychology and mindset and adjusting to this new normal, and thinking about, we always think about our target audience and what are they thinking, and we talk about personas and all these things that we've done in the past. Obviously, a lot of that stuff gets thrown out of the water. I hand over to Matt to talk about his observations.
Yeah, so thank you, Bernard, and thank you, Ed. So yes, I'm, because I kind of dig all areas of marketing, and the psychology part is one of my favorite places. So, looking at the consumer mindset and now, and adjusting for the new normal, and also how brands are reacting to that. Some of the things that I'm seeing, not just here at work, but on my day-to-day is essential products and services really do depend on the individual. And we all have heard that a lot in the news about essential businesses and essential products and essential purchases. But one thing to remember is that just essential products and services, really do depend on that individual. What's essential to Ed may not be essential to me, and vice versa. So it really does come down to your individual audience or audiences. Next is, at this point, you're going to hear this a lot through what I'm going to go through here, and Bernard brought it up, and so did Ed, is that it really comes down at this point to connection, trust, and comfort when it comes to reaching out and connecting with your audience. Things are so chaotic right now that we want to feel like, we're safe. So, connecting and providing comfort and trust is very, very important. Messaging is getting really real right now. And what I mean by that is, I'll show you some examples of this in a bit, but messaging, we used to be, not that long ago, very kitschy, and we were always trying to be funny or even shocking to try to, get attention and get eyeballs on us. When right now that may not be the best time to do that. So it's getting a little more grounded, and brands are really focusing on they're trying to focus on what customers need, rather than just trying to be splashy all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, you want to, in the past, you want to be edgy, you want to be funny. I think it's quite a serious time for, obviously we have a lot of memes going around right now, but I think in advertising, people want you to not just advertise and not be conscious of what's happening in their world. Advertising isn't the normal way that you did before, the cat videos and the babies and all the things that, the fun, it definitely has changed.
Yeah, and we'll see that there's a gray area, but for the most part, we're trying not to be too far over the top right now. Mm-hmm. Learning to adapt to the new normal, and this is for consumers and brands. As people, I'm a consumer and I work for a brand. So I've had my series of steps that I'm going through of acceptance, trying to figure out how to navigate, but brands are doing that as well. Satisfying intrinsic and emotional needs. This is just something that I really like, but it's really figuring out what matters the most to our customers now, on the inside or in here, and making sure that we're tapping into that. There's a hyper-awareness, this is the next one, hyper-awareness around brands being inauthentic and opportunistic. I might add even predatory into this. So this is a time maybe before you could, no one should try to pull a bait and switch ever, but they were a little more willing to do that. And right now, if you're doing that, you are damaging your brand hardcore. You do not want to. I saw a news article about it was on the news. It was on, I don't know, KVR or whatever it was. There was, with these stimulus checks that are going to be coming out, or the COVID bill that's coming out, there was some car dealership, I want to see on the East Coast, who was sending official looking paper notices that looked like a check. And it actually was saying you should invest your check into a new vehicle. And that's just bad form. So you definitely don't want to come off as opportunistic, inauthentic, or predatory.
It's all about being positive. It's being about honest. Right now, the whole voice of marketing and advertising has completely changed.
Yeah, for sure. And then finally, and this is what we're going to show some examples of, even though messaging is changing, a lot of brands, including us, we're trying to keep it light. We're trying to be sympathetic as to what's going on, but at the same time, try not to get too down. There's plenty of places to dwell online, and a lot of brands are trying to keep it a little bit lighter and sympathetic. So if we can move to the next slide, thank you. So this, I'm just going to breeze through this because you can read through this on your own. There was a great article from Gartner that came out last week. Going Because I know that I went through, when I first heard we had to be on lockdown, where my brain went, what do I need to get? And what do I need? And then it slowly pivoted into, okay, I have most of what I need. What do I want to do now? How am I going to fill my time? Like Ed was saying, people are getting bored. So how do you fill that time? So they had this wonderful, ranging from 1 to 6 on almost the steps we're going through on our heads from, when we first hear about something like a lockdown, we focus on purchasing health management products, and then preparation and stockpiling, and all the way to where most of us are now, which is step number 5, which is restricted living. Most of us can't leave homes unless we really, really need to. We had to get some kind of medication or some food product we cannot buy online. And then we have number 6, which is living the new normal, which is where we're starting to get into right now. So if you can go to the next slide, Bernard. And they also have this wonderful, and if you do want to see that whole article, we'll send you this whole presentation. There's a link at the bottom of the slide, which you can click and just read the whole article. But here, this was a great representation of where the world is right now, where different countries were as of about last week. And the US, we're in that between level 5 and level 6. I say between because here in California, or in Seattle or in New York, we've been on lockdown for a couple weeks now. So we've kind of gone through most of the early steps, and now we're kind of settling into how we get to exist in this new normal. But there are people like my parents who live in Alabama, who they just got their lockdown order this last weekend. So they're maybe on step 2 or 3. They haven't quite settled into how this is working. So it's this 5 to 6 that a lot of brands are focusing on when it comes to their messaging and their branding and what they're trying to put out there. So let's take a look at how a few of these brands are adjusting and pivoting to connect with those having to live in the new normal. So this is one example of a brand that's far more people are using now is delivery, grocery delivery. This is DoorDash. And DoorDash, they're not only, this is right from their site, they're not only addressing the situation surrounding COVID effectively, but they're also keeping this information updated. What I've circled here is, there's been a lot in the news in the last week and a half about not just delivery, but no contact delivery. So they've been updating that. So what this does is, announcements like this, they can really help build trust with their user base. They provide comfort for those who are going to be using the service, who are thinking about using the service, who may be unsure. And it also shows they have a finger on the pulse of the public as to what they're worried about and how they're addressing that. So this helps them connect and build trust in a beneficial way all around. Next is, at least here in Southern California, this is my grocery where I go most of the time, which is Sprouts. We'll have a Whole Foods, Sprouts, Trader Joe's battle, but Sprouts is usually where I go. And, as a necessity, this is one of the few necessities that, at least here in California currently, we can still go out and shop for as groceries, but understandably, a lot of people, a lot of customers, they're going to have reservations about visiting a physical location. So again, on their site, Sprouts has an update as to how they're responding. They have similarly addressed the situation directly, showing their updated store hours and addressing social distancing and showing delivery options that they may not have had before. And they also went further here on the right. You can't actually play it, but it's over there. This was a video they had from one of their executives actually laying out how they're keeping the public safe, how they're updating their cleaning procedures, how they're cleaning more often, how they're keeping their sales team and staff protected. Even if they do have to shut down, how they're keeping their teams protected. So they're really hitting all angles here. So again, connecting, comforting, and establishing trust, both now and hopefully post-COVID. So next, we're going to, instead of just the site, because a lot of this messaging can apply to anything that you're doing. These are a couple of examples of brands that they're advertising on Facebook and Instagram. I know that because I pulled these from my own social feeds, so I know these are legit. Now, we have one on the left where we have a winery or a wine delivery, and then grocery delivery, and then a workout company here on the right. Now, these may not be essential for some, but they're really pivoting their messaging to focus on connecting with those who are sheltered at home or working from home with language that I've circled here, like delivering to your door, free shipping to your state. Are you staying active? Staying active at home, really trying to tap into what matters right now. Because prior to all this going on, the messaging may have focused on features, things like quality or freshness or certified personal trainers, which that's all great messaging and those are great features, but they're not the biggest problem solves for those who are sheltering in place at this time. So it may be the same product, but the messaging is pivoting to really, in a good way, to hit the emotional needs of who's staying at home right now. So some things that you can do. First is, really focused on, being a solution first. Whether you offer a physical, tangible product that's needed at home, or your service fills an intrinsic, emotional, or mental need, like connecting with a loved one, maybe via video, or sending someone, a gift. You must figure out how your solutions truly align with what customers need and are looking for right now. It may be different after, but really what matters right now. The further away your brand is from a necessity, the more difficult this may be, but nevertheless, the best course of action is going to be to dig deep and really pinpoint what this connection is and start from there and move forward. Your ad messaging. Oh, no, we can go back. I get to run through these quick. I'll go quick. Like I mentioned before, there's been this, this catchy, kitschy, over-the-top, shocking messaging sometimes in our ads. This probably isn't the best time. Again, people want to feel connected, comforted, protected. So make sure you reflect that in your ad messaging. Adding value while people are sheltered at home. I touched on this a moment ago. It's important to remember that staying home is boring for a lot of people right now. So they're trying to find ways to make their time there more fulfilling and more enjoyable. So this could range from learning new skills or cooking, learning a new language, working out, whatever it's going to be. But so you really want to focus the solution you're providing on how it can add satisfaction to people who have to live at home during the new normal. Pairing a want with a need, or connecting want and need. This might go over some heads, but I will bring it down to the ground, I promise. So, if you're on the outskirts, if your product or service is kind of on the outskirts of what you might think is deemed as a necessity or, necessary at this time, consider pairing that, if your product's more of a need, think of pairing it with a want. Sorry, we got the backwards. If you're a want, you want to connect it with a need. I will explain. So simple example is about 2 weeks ago, when all the lockdown was hitting the East Coast, or 3 weeks ago, there was this little pizza place in Chicago, mom and pop shop, and they, of course, struggling because everybody closed and business was dropping. So they went, well, everyone's trying to buy toilet paper right now. Let's just give a free roll of toilet paper away with all the deliveries and everything else. And I don't know if their business skyrocketed, but they're still in business. So it definitely helped, but also it was real because it's what people needed, a lot of people needed and or wanted, but it also brought a little levity to what's going on. So they got to kind of combine the two very, very well. And finally, the last one, which this I think is a really important one for a lot of brands out there, which is, have you become a necessity, or what I'm calling reassessing the idea of necessity? Right now it's the time to consider, or maybe reconsider if your product that may have been a want, like that'd be nice to have, is now maybe a need. Bernard brought up home workout equipment earlier. It's a perfect example. We both, work out at the same fitness chain, here in Los Angeles, once those closed. Bernard liked to swim in the afternoon. I like to work out in the morning. That was off the table now. So I bought some new yoga mats and blocks, and Bernard bought a rower, so because to us, that's an essential for us, is to be working out in some way. So really reconsider whether you are a want, or maybe now you're more of a need than you ever knew. So think about, that's something to really consider at this time. So finally, I'm going to go through a number of resources and things that we can do to help. And this is a lot of what we talked about, being a solution first, your advertising messaging, and maybe your placement, Ed was talking about Facebook and YouTube, and, spending time where people are spending their attention. We're spending your ad dollars where people are putting their attention. pairing wants and needs, all of these things. Our door is always open, our phones are always available, or our cell numbers are always available, that you can connect with our teams or connect with any one of us, and we're happy to help get any of this in place for you. And we have a lot of templates for a lot of this information to help expedite the process. Before I talk more, I'm going to turn it back over to Bernard for something he knows more about than I do.
Okay, well, actually.
Oh, wait, no, it's still me. I'll do it. That's fine.
But I just want to say that, I think a lot of businesses are having a hard time now figuring out how to get that need and want together, how to pivot their business, how to be creative about the messaging, and we're really here for all of you. I'm actually pretty excited about some of the stuff that Matt's been doing, so I hand over to him again to talk about what he just put up on our website.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Now this is, I will tell you, as a marketer, as somebody who's been in, Bernard, you've been in marketing forever. I've been in it. We've all been in it for a long time. So this has very much been an eye-opening time for us to kind of reassess the way that we think. So that's, as we've been doing that, I and the team here, we've been producing content that is available on our site right now. There's the link at the bottom, nationalposition.com/ebooks. So we have this Marketing Forward During COVID-19 series, touching on a lot of what we discussed, and more is going to be coming. So we have connecting and keeping top of mind, being a solution first focus, content curation and brand voice, all of these. We're going to have e-commerce too. It's going to be coming out very soon. But all of these are available for direct download. They're free. You can view them, download them, share them by just visiting the link there at the bottom. And we also do have information that's not in that slide on our blog about five or 10 things your company can do. They're trying to figure out what to do right now when it comes to COVID. So lots of information available. And then also, since we have our wonderful connections at Google, they've sent us some wonderful resources, which when you get the copy of this presentation, these are all links so you can go directly to Google Trends Coronavirus Hub, where you can see what people are searching for, where the traffic is, G Suite tips, everything from Google. They're keeping as updated as possible to help small and medium-sized businesses and beyond figure out how to navigate as things change. Because who would have thought 3 weeks ago we'd be where we are right now? So things are changing fast, and these resources from Google will be very, very helpful for many of you.
Yeah, I just want to also say that one website is really helpful right now. If you go to trends.google.com, you can type in any keyword out there, or maybe one of your most highly trafficked keyword, and just see what kind of demand there is in the US or wherever you're located, in Canada or around the world. And you'll be able to actually see where the demand is increasing or decreasing. And of course, going into analytics is extremely helpful as well, and something that our team is diving in, hopefully on reaching out to you with opportunities as well by looking at analytics and the changes that we see. Yeah,
and I just a quick note on that. No, you're totally fine. When Bernard was mentioning the Google Trends, if you've never used it, super easy to use, and many of the graphs we showed earlier about things to do at home and all of those, that was right from Google Trends. So you can do those searches yourself and see what matters the most right now. Some additional resources from us, and a lot of this is also going to be in the PDFs that you're going to have access to. So, just know if you don't write it all down, the information is there. So just some of the resources. The big overarching question you want to be really considering right now is there anything you can do to help, to be a support, to really connect with your audience? We talked about the public recognition of COVID-19. This doesn't have to be as official, or that's not the right word, but as a press release. Like, you don't need to do that. You can if you want, but even just doing this on your homepage is enough. For a lot of brands, there's a company I know in Chicago who they do escape rooms. So as soon as this stuff started, they were done. Like, they can't have anyone come in and work with them. But they had a COVID statement on their site, and they even had a code for, if you want to purchase now and use it later, they had like a 10% off code to keep some revenue coming in. So there's ways to use that. It's a good opportunity to use that way as well. Business and operation updates, shelter in place promotions, what I just noted as SIP promotions. We have many examples of these that we can use right now. Newsletters. If you're going to be using a marketing automation system, like like the one that we have, or even another one, we can help create some templates for you to make that easier. And overall, just understanding how to pivot to make sure that you're a support for every audience who needs you right now. Encouraging clients to reach out, and then you reaching out proactively. We can help you in all of these areas, and especially if you're a current client, we're just here to help. So just contact us, and we'll happily walk you through any of this.
These are all absolutely free resources that we're providing, time, effort, whatever it takes. If you don't know how to do any of these types of things, we're here to do them for you. We've spent quite a lot of time, like for instance, newsletter templates, things like that. Or maybe you try to figure out how to create some nice assets for your promotions. We want to be there to help you, and that I guess is also what we're trying to say to you is that if there's anything that you can do in your business that's similar, these are the types of things that everybody's hurting right now, and they need a little bit of help. So what can you do to help? And
yeah, for sure. Anything, pretty much everything we're talking about with, again, these free resources, this is not a great, now you can sign up for our service. This is a help us help you. All we want to do is help you weather this storm and, come out clean on the other side. So, other resources, if you have, we talked about, consistent brand updates. If you have the messaging that you want, or you already have an idea, but you don't know how to implement it, or how to make an FAQ page, or how to do any of that, that's why we're here. That's what we're here to help with. Video content. I showed you the example earlier of, Sprouts having the video from their executive about what they're doing in this situation. If you have something filmed, we will happily upload it to your YouTube or your Vimeo channel. We'll do some basic VSEO on it, and tag it correctly, and put any links you need, and we'll also help embed that on your site. Again, we're not going to charge you for it. We just want to help you get it done. Live social video content. Ed had alluded to this, and he mentioned it in his slide, is if you're just trying to keep a finger on the pulse and trying to give updates on the regular, you can easily, right from here, you can go live and do a 2-minute explanation as to, hey, if we're offering delivery now, this is where you can get the information on it. If you don't know how to go live, call us. We'll happily walk you through it. But Facebook and Instagram Live can be very, very useful. Mm-hmm. Also, with almost 30% more time or people being spent on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, this may be a fantastic time to start engaging more. And this isn't just giving an emoji on a comment or something, but a lot of people are asking questions. You can search in the search bar, or you can also just reach out to your customers that you already have following your business page. But spend some time, communicating, answering questions with them, because what that's going to help you do is not only stay connected, but you're going to be spending time listening and really understanding what problems they need solved right now. And finally, like Bernard was saying, spreading the word, whether that's an email template, putting some special messaging in chat that's on your website or something like that, we can help put all of that in place for you. Bernard, back to you.
Yeah, so I just want to round out with, we've also put together all of the resources out there, government programs, the Paycheck Protection Program, economic injury, everything. So you got links to that in case as small businesses you haven't been able to get to all of these. Obviously, taking advantage of what's out there is extremely helpful, and just wanted you to have that. And then, just before we jump into Q&A, I just wanted to do, one of my favorite quotes from Warren Buffett: "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." And this just talks about how Warren Buffett invests in the marketplace. So when things are down, like now or soon to be, he's investing heavily, and then when the market's up, i.e. when people are greedy, and you should be fearful. There is a silver lining, potentially. And I know this is hard to say, having that short versus long-term perspective, but as things progress, there's going to be less competition out there. It's going to be easier and faster to get results, and we hope that paid search costs will also go down as competitors fall out. So, it's trying to stay in the game and do everything you can. That's why those kind of long-term things that I spoke about earlier if you can, do some of those while business is down a little bit, so you can dive in there and be ahead of the rest of the competition. That'd be amazing. I know that's asking a lot from a lot of people that are just trying to, hang in there. But that is, wise words that I wish someone had pointed out to me in 2008, 2009. So over to Q&A. So I know Matt's looking at the questions that people posted, and
yeah. So as of right now, again, if you don't see it towards the bottom of your screen, you should have, or on your screen somewhere, you should have an option to enter any questions you may have. We don't have any right now, but one thing I do want to touch on, and this is like Bernard was saying, the silver lining, and it's trying to think of it in a realistic way, is that in a situation like this, where you are going to have some companies, are able to, like, luckily here at National Positions, our, doors are closed, but we work in the cloud most of the time. So it wasn't too hard to be able to start working from home and use Zoom conferencing or use Google Cloud-based tools or things like this to keep everything rolling. Not everyone has that luxury, so we totally understand that. So I think that anytime that you can spend balancing that long term and the short term. So if you've been, hey, we've needed to update our site for a long time. Well, there's not a lot of people on the site right now. That might be a good time to do it. So it's hard when you don't know. For all we know, in 3 weeks we could be back to normal. We just don't know. So I think it's also not just prepare that once the switch is flipped and we're going back to normal, there's going to be a ramp up period. So this is the time that do work things in the micro and plan for the macro. Like Ed was saying, skate to where the puck is going to be, if you can all swing that. Mm-hmm. So you have our greatest sympathies, anyone who's having problems right now. But if you do events, for example, I saw a couple of the attendees run, on-site events. I'm not going to go with the industry. I don't want to point anybody out, but this may be the time to go virtual with that. Okay, we'll find a way to host these in a virtual setting. And that can maybe even save you costs, and you can provide a shelter-at-home rate for something like that. Just some other ideas throwing out there. We still don't have any questions, which may be a good thing.
I just say, at this point, it's tough trying to figure out how to pivot, but I wanted to just talk about one of our clients who is in the fashion industry who, has decided to provide, who's now taken some of their clothing and actually turned them into masks. And not only that, but they combine that with a donation. So they're donating to health workers. Some of the masks as well. I mean, you've seen masks that are really ugly and they're medical. Why not go and create cool looking masks that people can use? And I think that's what that client did. Love the fact that, some of the retailers that are out there, we're getting a bunch of questions now, which is good. They creating this e-com environment, really pivoting really, really quickly. But maybe go into some of those questions, Matt.
Oh, that was actually, I think it was Renetta Stone, but she just said, great webinar, thank you, appreciate that. So that was just me responding to her. And, one thing that will be coming out, I just want to point this out because we didn't really have time for it today, but that we will be coming out with the marketing forward is, are things you can do for your e-com, for your e-com site, because I know that there's a lot of maybe some of you are just starting to went, well, I have brick and mortar, I need to focus on e-com. So we'll have a whole section on, allowing guest checkouts and how to streamline your checkout process, and how, anything that we can do to help reduce that abandoned shopping cart rate right now. So if you do have another subject, by the way, that you went, this was great, but we'd like to hear more about this, feel free to just send us an email and we will consider that for our next webinar.
So thank you everyone for attending today. We really appreciate it. We're all here for you. And obviously we realize that there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of silver linings, but there are also a lot of us that are hurting out there and just trying to get things, moving along under this really crazy environment that we're in. Obviously it wasn't brought on by anybody Here, we all expected 2020 to be this huge year for us. But maybe we can still do, let's turn lemons into lemonade and do whatever we possibly can. Would love to help in any way we can. And so please reach out at any point. And thank you so much for attending. And thanks, Matt and Ed. Great hanging out with you guys, talking about this subject.
It's been fun.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Be well.